All right. So today I wanted to talk about the origins or the thing that allowed me to finally pursue building the business. Um, so out of optometry school, I graduated in 2009, and I went straight into corporate optometry. And I've told this story a bunch of times. You might find it different places, but I initially, like, it was exciting to be making money, to be like paying back student loans, to be doing the thing that I had trained and learned for 4+ years. And like that was initially exciting, but after the first couple of years of doing the same thing over and over and over, I got really discontent. I was really just unhappy doing that thing. Like, it was boring, repetitive. It was the same thing coming up day after day, the same refraction, the same, I have dry eyes, I have a little bit of blur up close, I'm over 40. Like, all of those things became tedious. And the only real excitement I got was when there was a difficult case that came in. There was a retinal detachment, or there was a corneal ulcer that actually, like, things that might initially test my skills and learning and creativity and problem solving. And it wasn't until um, December of 2016, when my daughter was born, that the discontent that I was feeling really started to, like, weigh on me. Because when my daughter was born, my wife had a C-section, and she came out of the womb, hands in the air with a light over her head. And she was there's a picture that we have, and it's just like, welcome to the world. And from that moment on, I just became even more like just unhappy at work. And I couldn't wait to get home to see her, and I couldn't wait to, like, find my real purpose in life. And I think that eventually boiled over into me becoming just a really bad employee. Like, I like tried to be away from work as much as possible. I didn't want to be around the people that were there. Like, I was like, it was just very, like, not great. And about June of 2017, I think May of 2017, they had asked me to start driving to a different location, a different office in Terre Haute, Indiana, 3 or 4 times a week. And I just didn't have any conceivable way that I was going to do that. Like, I was not going to be driving 4 hours in the car, not being compensated anything extra, and spending more time away from my family than I already wanted to. And the thing that I think really bothered me about that was the corporate structure, the people who were running it, had really no regard for what was going on in my life. And they just saw one store struggling a little bit that I was at, just because it was a slower location. It was just, nice and cushy. And they wanted to send somebody from that store over to another store that was 2.5 hours, 2 hours away. They just looked at it from a numbers thing, instead of taking, like, the person into account, that this person had just had a new baby, that like, they didn't care. And I think that's really where, like, a lot of the stuff started to show up, where, like, I was just unhappy, and they could see that. And then they ended up letting me go at the end of June. And that was a pretty big life moment, just because I think I felt like I had not necessarily failed, but I felt in that moment very, like, discouraged, very unsure of the future, very I don't know what I felt, I think. But my wife, Deanna, she was super supportive. She was like, "You hate that job. Like, you can go find another job. We could figure something out." And luckily enough, the next weekend was there's a men's retreat called the Great Banquet, and this Great Banquet is hosted 2 times a year. Men and women, they'll go to their own independent great banquets. And I had already signed up a few months ago, just wanting to like reconnect with my faith and become stronger in that. And it was then literally the next weekend that this great banquet was. So I was like, okay, well, I'll put this, this sucks, but I'm still going to go to the great banquet and I'll see what comes of it afterwards. And that was really when my life changed, I think, is really when I went to the great banquet. I'll give you more on this in a little bit.